All right, welcome back. So, Lalu, thank you for coming on again today. I mean, were you able to vote at all while you were in office? I wonder sometimes.
Yeah, well, I did register, but because I had to be with my principal at election times, I couldn't go back to my base to vote. But I voted before in the past. I voted in 1993, the June 12 election. So, yeah.
Just like us, I mean, we're always here most times. So it's sometimes challenging if you're on duty to go out there and vote. So who knows, at some point, probably early voting, if they amend the laws as Wiz reports are suggested, so that other persons who are out there can also go in and participate. But we've been talking about how to ensure that we have improved elections, such that the sanctity, the seriousness, when people go out there to vote, it should count for something. Not when, at the end of the day, when they go out there and vote, at some point, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in parentheses, because if it's based on violence, it could be cancelled in that area. If it's based on technicalities, if it's in court, and they don't get to look at the substantive matter of the matter, who knows? They could equally view it at that. So, and then came the last bit of the questioning with the previous guest about the zero-sumness of our politics. Something that may be one of the causative factors to the violence, how they strive to make sure they get in there, because if they spend all that amount of money, they want to get something back. They consider it a business. So maybe let me start from there with you. Will it have an impact if we address that narrative? And if we're to address it, how should we progress with it?
All right, thank you. So I mean, listening to the discussion and also, being around in this country to see the level of our political awareness, there are three things that I think are important. The first one is that the motivation, that gets into politics, and then there's the second one that I call the level of disengagement, very wide level of disengagement. And of course, the third thing is reform. Let me take it from the first one, which is the motivation, to your question. And why do people go into politics? Why do people seek elective offices in our country? Is it because they want to serve? Really, for the most part. And I'm not saying this, it's not a blanket point. There are people who seek politics to serve. Now, but for the most part, if we ask ourselves, those who seek elective political offices, do they go there to want to serve, or for the sake of power, or for the sake of some other personal aggrandizement? Now, I don't think it's difficult to answer that question, because for the most part, we see, like you said, it's a zero-sum game. The kind of demonstration and the use that public office has been used for, I mean, what people have turned it into, shows us clearly that there's something even wrong with the motivation for people to get into political offices. And that's why some people have suggested in the past that, look, maybe we need to make political office, elected office, less attractive.
The question is how?
So for instance, you can start with part-time engagements at certain levels. And we've done it before in this country.
Who will pass the law?
Well, so the people
that have just got those jeeps.
So that's why I made those 3 points. That there are 3 things. So you're talking about reform. What are the reforms that have to take place? Because there's a wide level of disengagement. To my second point, people are not involved in this at all. There's a dismal level of participation, in our political life, and it's a sorry case, because politics controls everything. It controls the economy, it controls society, it controls essentially everything. But there is a dismal level of disengagement. People are not engaged. And Nigerians could be very...
Clarify the people here.
Yeah. Well, generally, because if you look at the numbers, come on, it's just a joke. We are really, whether wherever we are, we haven't really gotten ourselves together as a people to understand the significance of political power, and those that are benefiting from this dysfunction, they will never the people benefiting from the political dysfunction that we operate today as a country, they will never make any change. They are not. There's no incentive for them to make change. The change must come from outside. It must come from the people.
And that some would term it a revolution. And then those same people, hold on, if the change is going to come from the outside, if those who are playing that field are not ready to make a change, and the change must come from the outside, who's going to bring that revolution up? Who's going to bring that change, and how would that change even happen?
So it's a tough situation. So I don't think there's going to be one silver bullet. But I think we have to discuss more seriously and engage the people in the question of reform. Like I was saying, it is possible in this country to have people in political offices not do full-time. It's happened before.
Call them back.
Yeah. There are also those who believe, and I've also had that discussion today, had it in your previous segment, that look, a parliamentary system might bring more representation, might be cheaper, and might improve on the issue of accountability. Because those are some of the major problems that we are dealing with. Nigerians will rather sit out and have a very engaging discussion on election day than actually go out to vote. We have left the space to the kind of people, even, most of the people that vote. You find out that there are people that have been mobilized and paid money. Where are the educated people? Why are they not involved? Where are the elites?
If you take that a little further, because what you said, those who vote, people that could be, you spoke about the class.
Influenced, yeah.
And even those who emerge, many will say, not the best of us. So as you're asking, where are the educated ones? Because, it's still the middle class, if they still exist, and the upper class who will still determine and ensure that they drive the policies and narratives and get us to the path where we want. So if those two classes are disconnected, how far or close are we then from making the kind of change that we want?
Yeah, so I made the point that the people, we the people have to organize ourselves better, and it has to start from, people setting up wherever we are engaged, whether it's in school, whether it's in churches, whether it's in mosques, whether it's in our associations, whether it's in our clubs. People have to begin to speak out about what they want. We can't just be complaining about the outcomes when we are not active enough to demand the changes that we need. That's where it has to start. Because when we do that, let me tell you, I've been in government, at least for 8 years. If the people in government understand that the people outside are insisting on a point and they don't relent, I can guarantee you that if that attitude is maintained over a long period of time, across board, fairly, there will be changes. These people, the people in government, they are not gods. They are human beings. But if what they see is that, we can get on, we can get on with that. We can afford to ignore that because of the lack of people engagement. Then they will do whatever is possible.
There's a picture here now. It's clear. Not that picture. It's clear though that those in the higher socioeconomics, with higher socioeconomic status, are the ones who participate in, who tend to participate in politics. But
not necessarily.
Hold on.
Because
I'm coming. But you see now, when they're at that point where they feel like they have everything they need, again, the elite, they're like, let them just carry on. And those who are below who are the certain socioeconomic status are like, I'm not interested in food on my table. The others are like, I'm just interested in survival. So is it a question of awareness or education? Because there's a difference between awareness and education, some will say. At what point do we balance out so that this need for people to get involved, to hold these other guys accountable, at what point do we balance out?
Well, I don't think I have the answer at what point does that happen? But what I think has to happen is that the people has to be better organized. We, the people, have to be better organized. We must understand, and I guess that goes to awareness and education. We must understand that this is a democracy, okay? And that our voices must count. We must understand, the point about the right of a citizen. We must understand that we are governed by a constitution. We must understand that elected leaders are people that we put there. We must that level of conscientizing has to happen. It has to happen, and when that happens, the people that are in power, they will get the signal. Let me be very frank with you right now. The signals that the people in power get is that, look, when we get here, we do whatever we like. We are not compelled. Because indeed, they're not compelled. You have, assemblies and representatives that don't even share sensibilities of the people. People go out and do audacious things. In these times when there is so much belt tightening in terms of resources, people have the audacity to allocate 166 million naira each for every legislator to get an SUV. People who don't really need it. So people are the people in power, they are audacious because they know that whether as time goes, the president or whoever is the chief executive has to take questions on a weekly basis, publicly. That increases accountability and transparency. That is just one. There are many things that we need to fix in our electoral system, and people have articulated this. So we need to start demanding those changes.
Okay. Well, one last question that I'd like to ask you, and it goes back to the conversation you were having with my colleagues, with you right there in the studio. Now, it seems, I think it was a question that Chamberlain actually asked you, that a good number of cases that go to courts, they are more on technicalities and not on the voting process itself or the results of the elections. To you, does that suggest that we are getting better at our electoral process and that the votes are counting more as opposed to the technicalities which the politicians usually base their cases on? Because previously, in the early days of this Fourth Republic, it is the results that were always questioned. But now it's moved from just the results to technicalities. Does that suggest that our electoral process is getting a little better and that we only now need to begin to work on the technicalities?
Well, I'll say this, on lighter mood, but no less significant. And I think somebody made the point. Some of the lawyers have made this point themselves that, we've managed to endanger a political system that really, puts a lot of money in the pockets of the lawyers. I think there has been too much litigation of the political system. Too much have depended on what they cost. Say we have situations where people end up in political office not because they actually won the election, but because all kinds of technicalities and all kinds of legal mumbo jumbo produced a result. So that is a problem. That is a problem, and I'm sure that some of the reforms that have been articulated and advocated can sort out the problem. It is important, to your point, that we have less of these cases, and more importantly, that we are able to even settle those legal issues, petitions, before power is transferred, before people are sworn in. Because look, once somebody has been sworn in, it's really just an uphill task trying to change all of that. So you are right. We need to have a situation where the determination of political outcomes, the political outcomes are determined more by what people do when they go to cast their ballot and what happens in the courts.
All right, all that. We appreciate your coming on this morning, Lalu Akande, former presidential aide. So let's